This is Matador News, and these are today's headlines. President-elect Trump picks 3 more cabinet members. 2 minors are charged with arson for setting last week's Tennessee wildfires. 2 African-American employees are suing Time Warner for racial discrimination. Hello, and welcome to Matador News. I'm Lexi Wilson.
And I'm Jacob Gonzalez.
Just in, astronaut and former U.S. Senator John Glenn has died. Glenn was the first astronaut to orbit the Earth. He was 95 years old. And President-elect Trump continues his cabinet picks, the head of the EPA and Small Business Administration, and the Secretary of Labor. Oklahoma Attorney General and climate change denier Scott Pruitt has been chosen to head the EPA. Trump also chose World Wrestling Entertainment CEO Linda McMahon to run the Small Business Administration. Latest, Carl's Jr. and Hardee's chief executive Andy Puzder is going to be the Secretary of Labor. Vice President-elect Mike Pence says Trump's transition is going well.
This transition actually is now, it's been certified that President-elect Trump is moving faster than any president-elect has in naming cabinet officials for the last 40 years.
Trump continues his thank you tour by making an appearance in Ohio later today.
Indiana Union leader Chuck Jones responds to the president-elect Donald Trump, saying Trump's tweet was evidence that he was doing his job as a labor representative.
We're grateful, once again, to have 730 of our members still have a job, and it's due to President-elect Trump getting involved. My problem is when they put out earlier in the week that 1,100 and some odd jobs were going to be saved. A lot of the people thought at that point in time that they were going to have a job.
Yesterday, Jones called out Trump for inflating the number of jobs he claimed to save when he was convinced Carrier Heating and Air Company to keep their factory in Indiana. Trump tweeted that Jones did a terrible job representing workers and that he should spend more time working and less time talking. Trump said that he saved 1,100 jobs at Carrier, but Jones says it was far less than that. Only 800 factory jobs were saved and 300 jobs were administrative and engineering at different faculties.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says 2 miners started the wildfires in Tennessee that killed 14 people and destroyed more than 1,000 home structures. They are being charged with aggravated arson. Since they are under 18 years old, not much information can be released, making them juveniles. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Director Mark Gwen says they are doing everything to make sure justice is served.
Unfortunately, these 2 individuals are juveniles. I can tell you that this investigation is active and ongoing, and we still have a lot of work to do. Our promise is that we will do every effort to help bring closure to those who have lost so much.
The 2 children are being held at the Juvenile Detention Center in Sevier County, but they are not residents of that area. They are entitled to a hearing within 72 hours of their arrest to see if they will be released or held. Officials have not released if the arrest information came from a tip line.
A magnitude 6.5 earthquake has rocked the northern California coast, about 100 miles off the coast of Eureka at around 7 o'clock this morning. No injuries or damages have been reported. U.S. Geological Survey says the quake was felt in southern Oregon and inland in Sacramento Valley. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, rescuers were searching for survivors after another 6.5 magnitude quake. Indonesia's Disaster Management and Mitigation Agency says at least 102 have been killed, including young children, and 136 injured severely. The quake's epicenter was 12 miles southeast of Sigli. The earthquake damaged homes, shops, and mosques. No tsunami warnings or advisories have been issued, and State Department spokesman Mike Toner says the U.S. is in contact with local authorities.
While we're still gathering information, we do remain in close contact with the U.S. mission in Indonesia to monitor the situation. We're not currently aware of any U.S. citizen casualties. The U.S. mission is working to verify the welfare and whereabouts of all U.S. citizens registered in the area at the time of the earthquake.
And just 3 hours ago, another powerful earthquake struck near the Solomon Islands. A tsunami warning has been issued for Hawaii.
A man who police say killed a Georgia police officer and wounded another is confirmed dead early this morning. Suspect Miguel Kennedy Lembrick was surrounded by police at a house in Marcus, Georgia. Authorities received a tip to where Lembrick was hiding. Chief Mark Scott says they immediately sent a SWAT team after receiving the tip.
At approximately 10:02 this morning, we received information from a citizen that Mr. Miguel Lembrick was located in a residence in the 300 block of Allen Street. Officers responded to the area. They began to set up a perimeter around the house.
Officials did not say whether Lembrick was killed by the police or killed himself. Lembrick was wanted for killing a police officer and wounding another. He also had a warrant of his arrest and for an incident that occurred earlier this week.
The trial continues in its second day for a man who is accused of killing 9 church members in a church in South Carolina. Dylan's Roof trial began yesterday with church surveillance footage of him leaving the church with a pistol in his hand. Prosecutors say the footage of Roof will serve as a key piece of evidence in the trial. Roof is being charged for several counts, including hate crime. Roof is considered a white supremacist and killed 9 people because they were African American. The trial is estimated to last up to 6 weeks.
The city of Oakland is saying that the ghost warehouse wasn't inspected in 30 years. Last week, the warehouse burned and killed 36 people. The building was cluttered with old cars, oil containers, pests, and trash, receiving many complaints to the city of Oakland. The fire broke out during an electronic dance party. The cause of the fire is still being investigated. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Jill Snyder, says that there was no fire suppression or fire alarm system in the building. Building leaseholder Derek Almina apologizes to the victims' families and says that he would have never intentionally endangered his tenants. It is not clear whether anyone will face criminal charges.
It's the second day of the trial for former LA Sheriff Lee Baca. He has been accused of internal conspiracy and committing obstruction of justice. Those charges carry a possible prison sentence of up to 15 years. Prosecutors insist that he lied to the FBI about his knowledge of corruption and intimate abuse in the jail system during a federal investigation. Baca will also be tried on charges he made false statements to the federal government in 2013. Baca is in early stages of Alzheimer's disease.
With finals right around the corner, it's crunch time for many students and also for professors, scurrying to get their grades in before the winter break. Let's go to Matador News reporter Nadia Garcia in the newsroom with more on the story.
Here at CSUN, tomorrow is the last day of class and grades are due in a few weeks. Everyone is under a lot of pressure. Students scramble to get their final studies in before the end of the semester. Professors are also preparing themselves for student complaints about their grades, also known as grade grubbing. Many professors say students mainly worry about their grades at the end of the semester instead of the beginning.
I think it was once in my junior year where I probably deserved more than I should have got, but there was a couple of things that weren't completely graded correctly as I thought should have been graded.
They always wait until the last minute. In fact, some people wait till after the exam is over and grades are in and start to complain about the grade. But the other thing that becomes a problem for professors is we don't do this job to fail people. Right? We're there to work with them and help them learn and reach their potential.
For students who are concerned about their grades, there is an appeal process. For more information, check the CSUN course catalog page or visit the Office of the Vice President for Student Affairs located in University Hall, Suite 310.
E-cigarettes are now the most commonly used tobacco product among young adults. Middle and high school students' use of e-cigarettes has been more than tripled since 2011. The U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy released a report today on the concerns about e-cigarettes and its effects on the brain development in young adults. Being both Surgeon General and a father, Dr. Murthy urged parents and others to stand against electric cigarettes. Dr. Murthy calls for immediate federal, state, and local action, including e-cigarettes and smoking bans, raising taxes and prices. Life expectancy in the United States has dropped for the first time in decades. The life expectancy fell from 1/10 from 78.9 in 2014 to 78.8 in 2015. In the report released today by the National Center for Health Statistics, the decline is linked to worsening health problems. 8 of the top 10 leading causes of death also saw an increase. Fatalities are rising because of strokes, Alzheimer's and now the #1 killer in the U.S., heart disease. The overall death rate has raised by 1.2% in 2015, the first small increase since 1999. Now let's go to Cynthia Marin with the latest in business.
Time Warner is currently facing a racial discrimination lawsuit. 2 African American employees have filed lawsuits against the company, stating that the workplace discourages minorities from exercising their rights. The lawyer for the plaintiff says a discrimination lawsuit was also filed against Time Warner last year, which dealt with stories involving nepotism, abuse of power, and retaliation. Data acquired from Turner showed a difference in salaries between African Americans and Caucasians and non-existent promotions for African Americans. A former CNN employee who filed for a $50 million lawsuit last year states he was passed over for a promotion 9 times because of his race. With Christmas around the corner, retail department stores offer a multitude of sales, making it hard to resist on a good deal. Los Angeles City is suing 4 big retailers for deceptive advertising that deceived customers. City attorney says Macy's, Sears, JCPenney, and Kohl's were falsely advertising regular priced items as being high priced and then claiming they were on sale, leading customers to believe they were snagging deals. California laws prohibit any retail company to advertise a product for a high price unless it was actually available for that price. Now let's go back to Minerva for the latest news in sports.
The Houston Rockets blew out the Los Angeles Lakers last night 134-95. Rockets guard Eric Gordon made a career-high 8 3-pointers and scored 26 points. James Harden added another 25 points in 3 quarters. With 1.4 seconds left in the half, Lakers' Lou Williams cut the 67-52 deficit with a 3-pointer from beyond half the court at the buzzer. Williams led the Lakers with 24 points. Teammate Julius Randle added 21 points and 10 rebounds. The Rockets have now extended their winning streak to a season-best 4-game. Lakers coach Luke Walton says missing key players to injury isn't an excuse for losing games. Lakers will be back home Friday night to face the Phoenix Suns. The NCAA says CSUN's men's basketball team's self-imposed ban from last season was based on academic fraud. The LA Times conducted an investigation and found a staffer completed online coursework for 10 different players. NCAA investigators also questioned CSUN head coach Reggie Theis, but didn't find that he violated any rules. CSUN has been placed on a 3-year probation. Coach Theis says this is a learning experience for student athletes and a chance for the team to come together. And in college football, it's bowl season. Number 1 seed Alabama is set to play against number 4 Washington Huskies at the Peach Bowl December 31st at the Georgia Dome. The number 2 Clemson Tigers are set up against number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes in the Fiesta Bowl December 31st at the University of Phoenix Stadium. Chapman is returning to New York. The Yankees have handed out the biggest contract in history for relieving pitcher. Aroldis Chapman signed an $86 million 5-year contract with the Yankees. This shatters new Giants closer Mark Melancon's 4-year, $62 million contract. After being released last December by the Yankees for a domestic violence incident, the 28-year-old Cuban left-hander went on to sign with the Chicago Cubs and win the World Series. He posted a 1.55 ERA and 36 saves. Now back to Cynthia with the latest in entertainment.
The countdown begins for the highly anticipated Star Wars spin-off Rogue One. The film premieres in Los Angeles on December 10th, opens in theaters in the U.S. on December 16th, and in China on January 6th. The film takes place before George Lucas' 1977 Star Wars film. The Rogue One rebellion risks it all to steal the plans to the Death Star. Director Gareth Edwards is bringing a variety of international talent on board, including British actress Felicity Jones, Mexican actor Diego Luna, and Chinese actor Jiang Wen. Last year's The Force Awakens made over $1.7 billion worldwide. Rolling Stone frontman Mick Jagger is a dad again. The 73-year-old rock star welcomed his 8th child with girlfriend Melanie Hamrick in New York. 29-year-old Hamrick is a ballerina who has performed with the American Ballet Theater in New York. The couple got together in 2014 following the suicide of Jagger's longtime partner L. Ron Scott. Their baby boy was born early this morning, and reports say mother and child are both doing well. Jagger's 7 other children range in age from 17 to 45, and he also has 5 grandchildren and one great-grandchild. Leonardo DiCaprio has met with President-elect Trump to discuss climate change and green jobs. This meeting comes after Trump announced climate science skeptic Scott Pruitt to lead the EPA. A Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation CEO spokesperson says the Oscar winner gave a presentation on securing American jobs in the construction and operation of clean energy. The conversation focused on money-saving energy-efficient upgrades, waste reduction, and other transportation projects. Trump reportedly was impressed and is looking to have a follow-up meeting in January. Now, let's go to Matador News reporter Alex Razo in Studio B with graduating CTV student and director Gonzalo Lomeli.
Thank you, Cynthia. At CSUN, the CTVA department requires all of their undergraduates to complete a senior thesis, usually in the form of a short television show or film. I'm here today with Gonzalo Lomeli, director of Telepresenta Yo Soy Mujer, who's graduating this month. Thank you for being here, and congratulations on graduating.
Thanks.
So, your show was created for your senior thesis. Would you mind explaining the general process that goes into a CTVA senior thesis?
Yeah, so basically the way that it kind of starts out is first day of class, we're like right in there and we're already pitching our ideas and everything like that. So first day we have to be completely prepared. And from there we set up our whole teams and everything like that. And then we have to raise a very large budget of about $10,000. And after that point, we kind of have to hit the ground running when it comes to writing the script or casting and getting all of those materials together for the production design. And ultimately, we have about 3 days to shoot the production, 3 12-hour days. We shot from 5:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And from then on, like now we're just doing post-production and editing and color correcting, and it's a crazy ride.
We have some cell phone footage of the behind the scenes of your project. Can you tell me more about specifically about your thesis and how you came up with the idea?
So I came up with the idea for my thesis. It's basically this sort of spoof of telenovelas, and I grew up watching so many telenovelas as a kid, just because of my parents. They were always like looking at them, and I was like, this is absolutely hilarious, and like there's so much in context of this that like could be seen for a broader audience, and just like let's amp everything up and just use it for comedic purposes. So just playing with all of those kinds of cliches and those characters who follow these kinds of tropes, what we wanted to do is just kind of turn everything on its head and make it very much a feminist sort of story, as opposed to like the sort of very machista culture that I see a lot in Mexican telenovelas and in just a lot of Latino culture in general.
And what did you take away from this experience?
Well, for me personally, one, this thesis is a lot of work. We do all of this within only 16 weeks from the beginning of the semester to the very end. But what I think I took away mostly from it is that it was very fulfilling for myself, because I learned a lot about what I want to do within my career and how that's going to help me for my future. And being on set, it felt almost kind of like magic in some kind of ways, as cheesy as that sounds. But it was a really cool experience, and I'm just so grateful that I was able to direct and write something that I know I can be very proud of.
You got any advice for some budding young filmmakers?
Yeah, definitely. So honestly, do some research before you write anything for the most part, because then once you know what you're writing about, you're able to be more versed in whatever you want to say, whether that's a theme or just relating to those characters in a lot of ways. And be dedicated, like go all out and do everything that you possibly can. And also know that even if you're doing a small project, not everything always turns out perfectly, but there's nothing wrong in trying to make something the best that you can make it and having everyone see that. And there's a lot of joy in making those kinds of things.
Awesome. And when it's done, where can people watch your film?
Well, we are going to be in the senior showcase in May here at CSUN. I don't know when in May, but I know it's usually towards the end of the semester for spring. So that's where a lot of people can see it, and I know there'll be flyers up and everything like that. And I'll probably be posting a link up somewhere on my Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
Congratulations again. And now back to Jacob in the studio.
Clouds and cool temperatures will continue in Southern California through the weekend. Right now in Northridge, we'll see morning clouds with afternoon sun later in the afternoon. Temperatures will reach a high of 66 degrees, falling to 50 degrees overnight. On Saturday night, temperatures will reach a high of 69 degrees. Conditions will remain almost the same through Sunday.
A Santa reportedly fat-shamed a 9-year-old in Forest City, North Carolina. Anthony Mace was enjoying a day out with his mother when he received weight loss from a not-so-thin Santa. Santa told him to lay off the hamburgers and the french fries. Anthony walked away in tears, later saying that he went to bed crying that night.
And I would have said to him, like my mama said, like, you don't want to disrespect a 9-year-old, even though what shape of size you are.
Santa apologized to Anthony after his family complained to the company. Anthony said the apology wasn't sincere. Thank you for watching Matador News. I'm Lexi Wilson.
I'm Jacob Gonzalez.
I'm Cynthia Marin.
And I'm Minerva Medrano.